The world feared her, only the humans saw beyond the monster and dared to touch her. The cold metal floor shook under heavy footsteps. Guards stood with fear in their eyes, guns pointed, armor tight. No one spoke. Then she entered. Tall, strong, covered in black and silver scales. Glowing marks ran along her arms like fire under the skin. Her yellow eyes burned with rage, but behind them, something else lived. Something broken. They called her Kalira. They called her monster. They called her the beast of Zoreth. Chains bound her hands and legs. 10 guards pulled her forward like a wild beast. Her neck wore a thick collar that hummed with energy. Every step she took made people step back. No one dared look her in the eye, except him. In the back corner of the room, a man in a simple jacket stood watching. Human, late 30s, a short scar across his face. His name was Connor Hawley, former soldier, now assigned as a security consultant for alien containment. He didn't flinch, he didn't turn away. His eyes locked with Kalira's. She paused. Just for a second. But she noticed. The guards pushed her again, shouting in fear. "Move!" "Beast!" Kalira growled, her voice deep like thunder. But she moved forward. They dragged her into a glass cell in the center of the room. The walls were reinforced. Bulletproof, blastproof, deathproof. At least that's what they said. "She's in," one of the officers said, breathing hard. The lab director, an alien with green skin and 4 eyes, floated over on tiny metal legs. "Excellent. Begin observation. No close contact. She's dangerous." Connor watched as Kalira sat silently inside the glass room, breathing slowly. Her chest rose and fell like waves. She didn't attack. She didn't move. She just watched him. That night, in the observation room, Connor read her file. Species: unknown hybrid captured after Battle of Varnak 5 kill. Count: 204 confirmed. Military. Special note: may possess telepathic resistance. Extremely dangerous. Do not make physical contact. Connor leaned back. 200 kills, he whispered. But not one civilian? The screen blinked. A blurry video played. Kalira lifted a piece of rubble off a small alien child, then roared at her own soldiers to back away. Connor frowned. This wasn't the monster they described. Next morning, he entered the chamber area alone. The other guards protested. "You can't go in there, sir." "I'm not going in," Connor said. "I just want to see her." Really see her? Kalira sat in the same spot. She had not moved all night. Her yellow eyes opened as he approached the glass. She stared at him. "I know you understand me," Connor said calmly. "I saw the footage." No answer. Just a stare. "You saved a child. Why?" Still no words. But her hands twitched. "I don't believe you're just a killer. Not really." Kalira's mouth opened slightly. Her voice was low and rough, like stone grinding on stone. "They hurt me." Connor took a breath. "Who?" She looked down at her chains. "All." And then she looked up, right at him. "Will you hurt me too?" Connor didn't speak. He raised his hand slowly, placing it on the glass. For the first time in years, Kalira moved closer. Her clawed fingers lifted. And gently, she placed her hand on the glass too, touching his through the wall. Gasps came from the security room. Alarms blinked. Contact detected. The director screamed through the speaker, "Back away now." But Connor didn't move. And neither did she. She whispered something in her language. The translator took a second, then beeped. "You are not like the others." Connor smiled faintly. "No, I'm not." And for the first time since her capture, Kalira blinked away a tear. She was not just a beast. Not just a weapon. Not just a monster. She was something else. And Connor was the first to see it. The world feared her. Only the humans saw beyond the monster and dared to touch her. The lights went out. For 3 seconds, the entire lab turned black. And in those 3 Seconds, she moved. When the backup lights blinked on, Kalira stood, not sitting, not resting. She stood right at the edge of the glass, staring into the security room with glowing yellow eyes. People screamed. Sirens wailed. She moved during blackout. Emergency, lock everything. Where's Holly? But Connor Holly didn't run. He stood calmly, sipping black coffee, watching her without blinking. Why aren't you afraid of her? The lab director shouted. Connor didn't answer. Instead, he stepped closer to the glass again, only a thin wall between him and the most feared creature in the galaxy. Kalira tilted her head. Her sharp eyes narrowed as if searching his soul. He raised a hand once more. No hesitation, no fear. And just like before, she raised hers too, 1 day earlier. Connor sat in the mess hall, watching old war footage. It showed cities burning, ships falling from the sky, screams. And then there she was. Kale IRA strong, furious, unstoppable. But something stood out. In the middle of battle, a wounded alien child cried out. Kalira turned, saw the child, and did something no monster would do. She dropped her weapon. She shielded the child with her body, then roared at her own troops to back off. The camera shook. The footage ended. Connor leaned back, whispering to himself, "That's not what a monster does." Back in the present, Kalira sat cross-legged inside the chamber, calm now. But something was different. She was waiting for him. Connor entered the lower lab alone. Unauthorized entry detected, the lab systems warned. He ignored it. He walked to the chamber and tapped the intercom. "Do you remember me?" She turned her head slowly. "I remember." The only one who didn't run. Connor gave a small nod. "I want to understand you. Why?" she asked, her voice like thunder through the speaker. "Because I think you were never the real threat." She studied him in silence, then stood. Connor held his ground, didn't step back. Others watched on cameras, hands ready on emergency buttons. If she attacks, lockdown and gas. One technician warned, but Kalira didn't attack. Instead, she placed her hand on the glass again. This time, not slow, not unsure, confident. Connor mirrored her. A voice came from her lips, soft and broken. "They only see what they fear." He replied, "I see what they missed." Kalira's eyes glowed brighter. "You are not like them." Connor nodded. "Neither are you." Later, alone in his bunk, Connor stared at the ceiling. He remembered the fear in people's eyes every time they looked at her. The hatred, the disgust. But he also remembered the moment she asked, "Will you hurt me too?" That was not the voice of a beast. That was the voice of someone who had been hurt too many times, and still hoped someone might say no. Connor made a decision. He would protect her, even from his own kind. But outside his room, cameras rolled, and someone was watching both of them, a hidden hand in the shadows. And that hand was already planning to end Kalira for good before Connor got too close. The world feared her. Only the human saw beyond the monster and dared to touch her blood. Not hers. His. Connor Holly stood in front of the glass chamber, a fresh cut on his hand. A thin red line ran down his palm. Kalira's golden eyes locked on it. Something shifted in her gaze. Not hunger, not rage. Something ancient and curious. She moved toward him, slow and silent, like a shadow in smoke. The guards screamed from the control room. "Step away from the glass. She's reacting to blood. Do not let her get close." But Connor didn't move. He pressed his bleeding hand against the glass and waited. Earlier that morning, Connor entered the chamber floor with a box in his arms. Inside, cloth, warm, water, healing gel, and basic food. "Why are you doing this?" the alien director asked. Connor looked him in the eyes. "Because she's not a beast, and no one's treated her like a person. She's a killer. She was in a war." The director's face turned cold. "You're going to get yourself killed." Connor replied. Then I'll die giving her the first kindness she's seen in years. He entered the prep room, placed the box near the feeding tray slot, and spoke through the intercom. This is for you. Kalira didn't move. She stared at the wall, unmoving, unfeeling, until she saw the cloth. A slow breath escaped her lips. She reached for it, then stopped. She looked at him again. Why? Because wounds need care, he answered softly. Then he opened the tray and pushed the items inside. But when he pulled his hand back, he sliced it on the metal edge. The cut was small, but enough to bleed. Back in the present, Kalira touched the glass. Her clawed hand stopped right over where his blood had smeared. Connor watched her closely. She didn't lick it, didn't snarl. Instead, her sharp nail traced the shape of his hand on the glass. It was like watching a wild animal try to remember what trust looked like. Then she spoke. You bleed. Like us. Connor gave a small smile. We're not so different, Kalira. Her eyes blinked slowly. She seemed to think deeply for the first time. Then, in one bold move, she stepped back and opened her palm. Connor's heart pounded. Was this a challenge? A threat? No. It was an invitation. She wanted to touch. Not fight. Not harm. Connect. Connor stepped forward again, heart racing, sweat on his back. He lifted his hand, still sore, still bleeding slightly, and pressed it gently into her open palm. Only glass separated them. But in that moment, the fear between them cracked. Kalira whispered, You do not fear my skin? He shook his head. No, I fear what others might do to you. Her eyes widened at that answer. She didn't expect protection. She only knew chains. Later, deep inside the lab's secret files, a warning flashed. Subject 112. Beast of Zoroth. New behavior detected. Emotional response to human contact risk level. Raised to raid. Prepare containment termination protocol. But Kalira didn't know. Connor didn't know. All they knew was this. For the first time since the war, someone touched her, not with a weapon, but with gentleness. The world feared her, only the humans saw. Beyond the monster and dared to touch her. A scream echoed from the hallway. Not from Kalira, from a guard. Connor ran toward the sound gun, half raised only to find the man standing frozen outside the glass chamber. Did she attack? Connor asked quickly. The guard shook his head, pale. No, she didn't touch me, she just spoke. Connor looked through the glass. Kalira sat in the corner, still calm and whispering to no one. But her voice was low, full of pain. Like memories were breaking free. Connor leaned closer to the chamber speaker and listened. Hours earlier, Connor sat in the restricted archives, deep under the lab. He had stolen a keycard. A risk he knew could end his career, or worse. But he had to know the truth. Kalira had saved a child. She had not attacked anyone since her capture. She had even cried. So why was she called the Beast? He pulled up hidden footage. Security logs sealed by the military. And what he found left him cold. Archive. Footage, classified. Battle of Varnak 5. An alien general screened orders. Kalira stood beside him, taller, stronger, but silent. Then she turned. She saw a group of civilians trying to run. The general barked, "Kill everything," but Kalira didn't move. Instead, she stepped in front of the civilians. Her own soldiers hesitated. Then, she roared at them, and when they tried to shoot, she struck first. She protected the weak. She was shot in the back by her own kind, and kept fighting. Connor's heart pounded. They called her a monster because she wouldn't follow a killing order? He downloaded the footage to his private drive. "She's not the Beast," he muttered. "They are, back in the present." Connor stood before her again, his eyes different now, fierce, protective. "You were betrayed," he said. "Through the glass. By your own army." Kalira slowly looked up. Her yellow eyes narrowed, not with anger, but recognition. You saw the truth. Connor nodded. I did, Kalira whispered. They lied. Made me the monster, to hide their shame. Her voice cracked. I tried to stop them. She touched her own chest. They called me a traitor. Connor stepped closer, voice calm but strong. They're afraid of you, because you chose mercy. Silence filled the room. Not cold silence, but heavy, emotional silence. And then she asked something that made Connor's heart pause. Will they kill me for remembering? Connor didn't answer because he didn't know. Later that night, inside the command center, the director reviewed Connor's access logs. Why is he searching classified war files? One officer asked. The director's eyes narrowed. He's getting too close to her truth. That cannot happen. Back inside the cell, Kalira whispered words from her native language. Soft, gentle, almost like a song. The translator could barely process them, but one phrase came through clearly. He is the first voice that did not bring pain. And somewhere, in the shadows, the order was given. End her before she remembers too much. The world feared her, only the humans saw. Beyond the monster and dared to touch her. It began with a single word. Terminate. Not shouted. Not panicked. Just a cold command whispered across the comms by the lab director. But Kalira heard it. She wasn't supposed to. The chamber was soundproof. The comm was encrypted. But Kalira's head slowly turned toward the camera, and her glowing eyes narrowed. She knew. 1 hour earlier. Connor rushed into the director's office. You can't do this, he yelled, slamming a tablet onto the desk. It showed everything footage of Kalira saving lives, being shot by her own people, and choosing mercy over murder. She's not a threat, Connor said. She's a witness. A victim. The director didn't even look at the screen. She's a symbol, Hull, of fear, of destruction. People feel safe because she's locked up. Connor's voice shook. You mean because they don't know the truth? The director leaned forward, cold and quiet. If the truth makes people uncomfortable, we erase it. Present moment, inside her glass prison, Kalira stood tall. No more sitting. No more silence. She paced like a caged storm. The air felt strange. The walls buzzed. She looked up and saw the ceiling vents begin to hiss. White mist spilled into the chamber. Connor ran in, banging on the glass. No. The guards tried to stop him. She's being neutralized. Connor shouted. She hasn't done anything wrong. Kalira stared at him as the gas swirled around her feet. And she did something unexpected. She smiled. A soft, sad smile, like she had known this day would come. But she was ready. Suddenly, the lights shattered. The gas turned dark black smoke. Not white. Alarms blared across the entire lab. Alert. Containment breach. The guards pulled weapons. The glass cracked once. Then again. Then shattered like ice. Kalira stepped through the smoke, glowing eyes burning, but she didn't attack. She didn't run. She reached for him. Connor stood still. She placed a clawed hand gently on his chest. Come. You're escaping? No, she said softly. We are. Together they ran. Sirens followed. Drones chased them through steel corridors. Kalira moved like a shadow, fast, silent, powerful. Not to kill, but to protect. She didn't harm anyone unless they fired first. One guard raised a gun toward Connor. Kalira grabbed the weapon and crushed it like paper. Move, she growled. They reached the outer doors, locked with a high clearance code. Connor scanned his badge. It didn't work. Kalira stepped forward and placed her hand on the panel. Her markings glowed. The door opened. Connor stared at her. How did you? But she was already moving. Later. Behind them, the lab director screamed through the comms. Shoot them both. I want them dead. But no one could stop them. Not now. Kalira and Connor vanished into the outside world. Together, and above them, in the dark clouds of the alien sky, A security drone hovered quietly, recording, sending everything to someone watching from far. Away, someone with more power than the director, someone interested in the human who touched the monster and lived. The world feared her. Only the human saw beyond the monster and dared to touch her. The news spread fast. The beast has escaped with a human. Every screen, every station, every planet. Warning, do not approach. Subject is extremely dangerous. Reward offered for capture, dead or alive. Human male considered brainwashed or compromised. Connor saw the headlines from a broken holoscreen in an alley. Kalira stood beside him, hidden under a ragged cloak. People didn't know the truth, but they believed the lie. And now, the whole galaxy was hunting them. 2 days earlier, rain fell hard on the outer zone of New Helix City. Connor and Kalira had escaped into the underground tunnels, moving at night, resting only in short moments. Kalira didn't speak much, but her eyes never left Connor. She watched his steps, protected his path. She even gave him her food when he was weak. He had saved her once. Now, she returned the favor. That night, they found an abandoned shelter, small, dark, half-flooded. Kalira sat near the wall while Connor tried to light a heat pack. His hands shook. She noticed. "You are cold," she said softly. He nodded. "I'll manage." Without a word, she moved closer. Not threatening, just near. Her body gave off warmth, not just from heat, but from something older, deeper. She placed one large arm around his shoulders. At first, he froze. But then, he let himself lean into her. Two beings once enemies, now breathing the same tired breath, sharing silence in a forgotten world. The next morning, a drone flew overhead. Kalira heard it before Connor did. She grabbed his arm, pulled him down, and covered them both with a large piece of metal plating. "Don't move," she whispered. The drone scanned the area, paused, then flew off. Connor looked up at her. "You saved me again." She tilted her head. "You are mine to guard now." He blinked. "Yours?" She nodded once. "You chose me when I was alone. Now I choose you." Later, they reached an old shuttle yard on the edge of the planet. Rusty ships, empty watchtowers. No one around. Connor found a small transport half buried in dirt. "If we can fix this, we can leave this planet," he said. Kalira looked at the broken parts. "It needs power." "We'll find it," he said with a hopeful grin. But as he spoke, something beeped on her arm. A small red dot. She looked at it, then slowly turned. Her head. Drones. 6 of them. Coming fast. She stood and roared, not to scare Connor, but to call out a warning to the sky. Connor grabbed her hand. "Run!" But Kalira didn't move. "Go," she said. "I will stop them." "No," he shouted. "We stay together." Her eyes burned with fire, but not anger. Emotion. Connection. "You are my only truth," she whispered. Then, she turned and faced the incoming drones. But as the first drone fired, something unexpected happened. Another blast came from behind the trees and destroyed the drone mid-air. Connor looked back and saw a hooded figure holding a long rifle. Stranger spoke. "We've been watching, and some of us know she's not the monster." Connor's eyes widened. "Who are you?" The figure smiled. "Someone who believes monsters aren't always the ones with claws." The world feared her. Only the human saw beyond the monster and dared to touch her. She had never seen stars like these before. Not from behind glass, not through prison bars, but with her own eyes. And with wind on her skin, Kalira stood at the edge of the cliff, cloak fluttering behind her, yellow eyes reflecting the night sky. For the first time in years, she wasn't in chains. 3 hours earlier, the battle at the shuttle yard was over. Connor stood, out of breath, covered in smoke and blood, but alive. Kalira knelt beside him, her body bruised, her breathing sharp, but she smiled. He was still. With her. The hooded stranger, part of a hidden group who believed in alien rights, had helped them escape. We don't have much time, the stranger said. Get her on the ship. They're coming. Connor looked at the old, rusted transport. It barely ran, but it had power now. He turned to Kalira. Can you fly? She nodded slowly. If I trust the ship, he grinned. Then I'll trust you. Present moment. The shuttle soared through the upper clouds. Inside, Kalira sat in the pilot's seat. Connor sat beside her. The stars above were bright, endless, free. Where are we going? She asked softly. Connor leaned back, looking at her face. Not just the glowing marks or the alien skin, but the peace she now carried. Somewhere no one knows your name, he said. Where they'll see you, not fear you. She looked at her clawed hand, then slowly reached for his. He didn't hesitate. Fingers met claws. Warm, real. She spoke with a voice no longer heavy with pain. Do you think I can be more than what they called me? Connor's answer was simple. You already are. Far away. The lab director watched the escape footage. He was furious. Red with shame. She got away, a guard said quietly. The director turned to a shadowy figure on the screen. A voice replied, let her go. If she is truly what the human believes. We may need her one day. Back on the ship. Kalira looked out the window again. She wasn't hunted now, not a beast. Not a weapon. Just herself, and beside her, the human who never flinched, who touched the monster and found a soul. END. Final credits. Scene style ending. As the stars drifted by and the ship vanished into the dark sky, one final message appeared on screen. The world feared her, but he saw her truth, and she dared to hope again.